New update in the Nolan Wells case. There is a lot to discuss. Let's get to the business. A lot has happened in 24 hours. We called it before that the alibis are crumbling. They are making up new lies, and they are making up new lies that don't even make sense in new time. The DA came out and threatened everybody, saying, y'all better stop for the sanctity of this investigation. However, Officer DeJango is getting exclusive after exclusive. There was new video and even more cleaned up audio released, okay? They are actively trying to change the narrative in real time. Thank God nothing makes sense. Let's get into this. There's new cleaned up audio, not the stuff I showed you the other day. Janetta, the audio engineer that cleaned up the file, she actually cleaned up the 5 more minutes. We're going to get into that. A new main suspect has emerged. His name is Bart Jr. We have all his tea and his information. And y'all, you know what? Walk with me. By the end of this, you might be thinking, because at the beginning, I was like, Warren, shut up, you liar. That's when Warren was doing this interview on Officer Django. And Trevon, or whatever his name, baby, he is just lost. He is going to have an identity crisis in 5 to 7 years. But who cares? He can deal with his racial identity later. However, in the beginning, Warren was like, shut up, liar. You clearly did it. Because why you out here running PR? Why you doing this? Why you doing that? However, there is a gentleman, and I say gentleman because he is actually, I believe, 21 years of age. Remember when Warren was on the boat? I'm giving you guys the rundown. Then we're going to get into the new enhanced audio. This is new audio enhanced, legitimately, not AI. It's not what I showed you guys yesterday. There's been an additional 5 more minutes. There's also been exclusive footage released. However, the footage pretty much proves that they're all lying. But let me tell you on why Bart, you're going to hear about him, and you need to know his back tea. Okay, Bart. Bart was 21 years old. Remember when, not Warren, I'm sorry, but Wyatt, when Wyatt was on the boat calling, and we heard Bart's name, and they asked him, is anybody over 21 on the boat? And he said, no, they're not. That was a lie. Bart was on the boat. Now, why is Bart so interesting? Because Bart was called in the messages, in the not DMs, but in the comment section of multiple things it was either Instagram or Facebook, saying that he's been in Wyoming for the past year. Now that's interesting because your name is also on all the reports. Your boat was searched, and everybody heard you. Everybody heard you. Your name being thrown out in the audio. Again, this is new audio, verified, non-AI, not the first 30 something seconds that I showed you guys cleaned up. She went and cleaned up 5 more minutes. There's a lot in there. And you guys, once you hear this, yeah, they need to lock all of them up. But let me just get back to Bart. I felt in that interview that Warren was lying. And psychiatrists, psychotherapists have agreed that the lack of curiosity in Warren and Trayvon's interviews is very curious. Because even if your good friend did pass away, you don't even care how he went. You don't care how he drowned. You don't care anything. You're just like, yeah. And the only thing that stops curiosity is certainty. When you know what happened to him, you're not curious anymore. You just want this to go away. Again, in my opinion, Warren and Trevon just look lost in the sauce, baby. He is just trying to audition for to be his white ancestors' mascot. Like literally, he's just trying to prove he's down and not with the brown. But Warren, I was always like, you are a liar. You're lying. But here's the thing, y'all. Maybe the reason Warren's stepmama, Judge Ashley Cole, Warren's whole thing, maybe that's why they went to Officer Django and did this interview. Maybe why they jumped, because Warren maybe knows what happens, but he's not actually the person that caused anything. Who do I now think is the person that caused everything? Well, played a major role. I believe it is Bart. The person they kept saying, my buddy, the mystery person that they didn't want to reveal, the mystery person that said, oh, I've been in Wyoming for the last year, but yet your boat was searched, your name is on the video. And you're all over. The person that Wyatt, when he was on the 911 call, said there were no adults on board. You guys, it gets even more strange, but there's a lot. I don't want to ruin everything. There's a lot we have to go over to. First, let's look at the video that was released by Officer Django. These kids are so stupid. First of all, let me show y'all the video, and then let's ask what it's supposed to prove. And then let's look at the evidence, because they don't even have the same clothes on. So either this is from a different day, or you guys change swim trunks. And ain't nobody doing this. You guys are not on a girls' trip to Bali. Nobody is changing their clothes mid-picture. So this is the proof. Once that audio was released, and once the audio was released, and once oh, I also have a flow chart on everybody that was on that boat and how powerful their parents are and their grandparents, and why this looks like to be like a good old boys thing, right? But the DA is saying we can't can't leak any information, but yet the people involved magically, when that audio from TMZ surfaced, the part that's at 30 seconds before, that everybody was wondering if it was real, because if it was real, why wouldn't wouldn't release it? Now all of a sudden, they're coming out with all these alibis. Now all of a sudden, they're feeding information. I believe that Warren is going so hard in the paint is because he knows what happened, but Wyatt and Bart are the ones that should really be worried. But let's get into this. Okay, first of all, this is the video. Ready? Right? Now, let's look at this. Let's look at this. Everybody involved. All right? Now, what they submitted this to Officer Django is to be certain that they took footage of their boat being towed. Not by Cito, but by other people. Now, here's the thing, and let's break this down before we get into the obvious things that don't make sense about the clothes not matching. But let's talk about the obvious things. Going by what Wyatt's call actually said when he was calling Cito. If you zoom in right here, 1 second, y'all. Let me try to make this bigger. If you zoom in right here, you will see that that's supposed to be Warren on the phone making the call to Cito. However, right? Or somebody's on the phone making the call. This is supposed to be when the boat was towed. All right. Now, this makes me think that it was a lie that there's no cell service on Horn Island. Because over in the back, you see a bunch of boats. Y'all are literally very, very close to Horn Island off of the shallow end. How are you saying it didn't make sense to leave Wyatt with his phone because there's no service when you are on the phone talking to someone? Now, this is supposed to be footage of when the boat was being towed. So first of all, first lie, there is service off of Horn Island. And if Wyatt had been left with his phone, he probably could have gotten service. Okay, fine. Second thing, this is supposed to be, according to Officer Tatum, the video of when the call was being made and also when it was being assisted by a tow. Now, one would wonder, one, who are you on the phone with right now? Because you said cell phone service don't work. But two, if you are, as you're on the phone with Cito, how are you asking Cito for help being towed when this is taken from the vantage point of the people that are supposed to be giving you the, what do we want to call it? The tow number 2. Let's not forget, at this time, he's on the phone. This is what this picture is supposed to prove. I'm not saying I believe it. Just telling you. He's on the phone with Cito. They're also being helped by a neighboring boat to be towed, right? Now, that rope is supposed to prove that they're going to throw to the other boat and they're going to be towed. Why would you be on the phone with Cito if you're already getting assistance? And why is your grandfather, Jerry, because I believe this is Wyatt, why is your grandfather on the phone with the Cito's captain on an unrecorded line? He hit him on the private line for a tow when there's already somebody in front of you. Now, keep in mind, they are insisting that this video was taken from the vantage point of the boat, not sea tow, but from another boat that is helping tow them. Now, they also said the boat was sinking. Not, oh, it was taking on water. Taking on water is an emergency, but it's not sinking. We have to be very careful about the words that we use, and we're going to use the words they used. This boat does not appear to be sinking. Nobody appears to be panicking. The guy on the phone, if it is Wyatt, appears to be posing, right? Everybody is just standing around. What exactly they think this proves, I don't know. I really honestly don't know. I do know that every time new information comes out, they change their story to try to accommodate new information. We've all been there, right? Your mom asked you, did you eat the cookies? I did not eat the cookies. Did you eat the chocolate chip cookies? I did not eat the chocolate chip cookies. Why you got chocolate? So you haven't eaten anything all day? No. So why you got chocolate right here? If you didn't eat the chocolate chip cookies? No, you don't understand. I ate some chocolate ice cream, but you said you ain't eat anything all day. No, I thought you meant that I eat any chocolate chip cookies. No, this is chocolate from chocolate ice cream. And your mom is literally looking at you like, go get my belt. Like, shut up. Shut up and stop with the dumb lies. This is what these people are doing. Again, this is supposed to be from the vantage point of the people that are towing them. Why are you on the phone? I thought there was no service. Also, for you to even be able to call Sea Tow from Horn Island. I thought there was no service on Horn Island. I thought nobody could use their phones, but it gets more, right? So look at everybody on the boat, right? Some of these boys need to get into the gym. They have very ballet body builds, if you will. I would think in the Mississippi Bayou, y'all out there wrestling, I don't know, alligators, I don't know, like what's going on, but it's like very ballet body builds. Need to put some oomph in it, but you know what? That's besides the point. Let's keep going. Also, this is as dark as the Mississippi. But you know what? It don't matter. It don't matter. Anyway, but it's very ballet body builds. I would just say I thought they were more active. Southern, I'm not from the South, obviously, but I thought them Southern boys was just more active. But you know what? Let's keep going, right? Let's keep going. Okay, so here's the thing. Now, mind you, they only show this clip. It's a 22-second clip. And this is a clip that's supposed to line up. It's supposed to line up with that 30-second clip from the beginning of the 911 call. If you've got all this evidence, why don't you show us the whole video? Also, who the hell is taking a video spanning the whole boat while you getting towed? Like, have you ever gotten a flat tire and took out your phone and you start taping everything and everybody? It seems like a setup. And also, sir, we are familiar with your game. I don't want to hear the 20-second. If you have a video, give us the full video. Because why are you just cutting it off right there? But let's get into more that makes it particularly egregious, shall we say? All right. They're going around, ballet body builds everywhere. Okay. Right? So here we go again. Here we go again. Here we go again. Now, these are the photos. I took screenshots because I think this is very important. First of all, these are the first 22 seconds. The first 22 seconds of that call had people calling. Oh my God, what's going on? Get up. Ba, 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 ba. Whatever you think was said, there was commotion. If you see this video that they're showing of the first part of the call, nobody's saying anything. This girl's looking down. The boys are just looking around. The guy on the thing is talking on the phone. Nobody is panicking or making a commotion. They look like they are just chilling, which leads me to believe, okay, something's not adding up. But I go back into it being an alibi call. Y'all know from the beginning I said, I know what an alibi call looks like when I saw it, when I hear it. The grandfather called the captain on an unrecorded line. I believe that Wyatt called in to just have proof that it happened. The same thing as it's so odd that you have this video And you're only giving us that 22 seconds to explain what was happening, but there's no noise. It doesn't look like anybody's panicking. It doesn't look like anybody's even talking to each other, right? And somehow this video also proves what your original lie was. But let's actually get into this because I live on planet Earth and I have questions, okay? This was not a girl's trip to Bali. They did not do costume changes for Horn Island. Look at this. Right now, you see somebody with navy shorts, right there, right? But you see the length of his hair. Okay, you see the other guy, and now it's who's this? Warren, Wyatt, and somebody else. I don't know, right? We'll get to those names later. But you see three people and Nolan. Okay, we know what Nolan's trunks look like because we saw pictures of Nolan. You see another man with navy swim trunks, so maybe white underneath, or maybe that's part of the swim trunk. I don't know. We also see somebody with a pattern with red in it, short blonde hair. We also see somebody with the orange and white swim trunks, some type of pattern that looks like it's orange, tan, something. All right. Right there. Let's go back to these pictures. Do you guys see anybody that matches this description? Now, I do know that there's a gentleman right there with navy swim trunks. However, his hair is much shorter than what we see here. Could be the same person, could not. Is that Warren right there? I don't know. The whole point of the matter is outside of that, do you see anybody else that was supposed to be on this boat? That is, I do not. But let's bring it back because maybe I'm wrong, right? Maybe I'm wrong. I see one person with navy swim trunks. That could be it. But the person in navy swim trunks does not have the same hair length as the man that was pictured with Nolan. There are Warren, Wyatt, and some other guy. I'll get to his name later. The whole point of the matter is these were the people that gave their testimony on why Warren left. So how are you showing us a video about what happened on Wyatt's boat when the people that you say was on Wyatt's boat aren't even wearing the same clothes? You are either A, right? And also, let's also count the people. Hold on, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Wait, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So, okay, the amount of people does kind of line up, 6 or 7 people. But for that to be while Wyatt was on the phone, nobody was panicking. Nobody was talking. Where's this thing coming up from what happened in the 911 call? Again, y'all guys know me. I think was an alibi. And I think as more information comes out, they are scrambling. And I said it when this first came out. This is the when you have alibis, when you're trying to cover something up, everybody has to be on it. They never expected that the dispatcher on the recorded line will call the captain or the owner of Cito on another line and link it up together. And they never expected him to be like, well, I just got off the phone with his granddaddy. They never expected that because if we did not have that, they would have gotten away with it. But now they're trying to explain things. What did they change clothes? Who was on that ship? Because everybody you said that was on that boat, ship, whatever you want to call it, was not there. But you guys, there's more, okay? And I need you guys to, again, where is it? I see 2 girls. I see one guy who may be with the navy blue swim trunks, but he doesn't even have the same hair length. And I doubt he tucked his hair under his hat. Okay? Nobody else is matching up. Even this one kid, I looked and I'm like, okay, well, his swim trunks kind of look patterned. Maybe that's there, but he has a necklace and he has a hat on and his hair, maybe it's the same length. But when you look at the other picture, the necklace and the hat is gone. And I'm talking about the picture when they're actually sitting with Nolan. I am beginning to think that the reason like Warren is coming out so strong and being like, look, here's what happened is I believe Warren knows what happens. I no longer believe that Warren was the main perpetrator. I do believe Warren and Trayvon are keeping quiet because Trayvon did in an interview where he said where he said, what did he say? We might not get along, but one thing I know is Ocean Springs. Go and look out for Ocean Springs. Trayvon also said some other dumb shit. Let me just allow me to think, because this boy, God, he's so lost. He also said that um to black people, I'm supposed to be one of y'all. Y'all ain't looking out for me, dummy. And he was like, my black side never showed up for me, but my white side, honestly, they had my back. Okay, so fine. First of all, Trayvon is giving you have a white mother. The culture wasn't passed through the wombs. Second of all, nothing wrong with that, but Trayvon is given what is given. Second of all, you was raised by your white side, so I guess they told you the way black people operate. Fool, what are you talking about? Y'all have my back. What do we need to have your back, sir? For? Are you dead? Are you a suspect? Are you lying? Where would you like us to assist you? Again, all skin folk might not be kinfolk, but Trayvon, why you talking trash about black people? Could you please be? Where would you like us to assist you? What exactly is your emergency? What do you need help with? We are focusing on the dead boy that you said that you was best friends with. That you sitting there calling his mama a liar because the mama was like, I don't know you, that you literally are, and you were raised by your white family to have your back. And I guess they educated you on how black people operate. And we're just sitting there saying, but what is your emergency? How would you like us to assist you? What do you need us to support you on? I am very confused. Like, you got to stop listening to those people in Ocean Springs about what black people do and how we operate. We're telling you, tell us what you need, and we'll see what we can do. But right now, Trayvon. And then he talking about sounding like the Klan. We might not get along together, but one thing for certain, Ocean Springs is always going to have Ocean Springs back. And this is on Officer Tatum's show. And I said, not you doing a Klan rally call and letting us know that at the end of the MFN day, nobody cares about what happened to Nolan. And at the end of the day, Ocean Springs is going to protect Ocean Springs, because I had no idea a mother trying to find out what, when, who, why, where, and how her son died was literally going up against Ocean Spring. I didn't know that was going against Ocean Spring. I guess when somebody tells you your son drowned, you're just supposed to cry, right? Go to the funeral that, by the way, hardly anybody attended. They didn't attend. And then go about your business. Again, that interview with Officer Tatum was a dumb thing, but the only thing it leads me to believe is Trayvon, if that's his name, and Warren no more than they're saying, but they weren't directly involved in what happened, which is why they are trying to clear their name. And it is very interesting that in that interview, they kept saying, my buddy, my buddy, my buddy. Bart's name slipped out. Now, why is that important? Because Bart was one of the people that drove a boat. I believe Bart actually has a boat. But interesting enough, when Warren told his story, and even in Wyatt's story with the boat, this is them, by the way, this is them panicking, by the way. What is this? What is this fake? Even the way he's sitting there holding the wheel, this is fake, this is fake, this is fake. I see no panic. I see nobody talking to each other. Where's all this noise coming from? Where's the person that's telling them, shut the F down, get the F up? Remember all that? Where is it? I don't see none of that. But I do find it odd that Bart is also now listed on the report as being on Wyatt's boat while it was sinking. And Bart's boat was searched. And Bart was officially listed in the Coast Guard's report. And Bart was telling everybody that he's been in Wyoming for a year, which may or may not be true, but you damn sure came down to Horn Island on July 4th. But you were doing your best to distance yourself. You guys, Bart, I believe, is our new person of interest, and Wyatt. See, Warren came out wrong and strong and being callous and the absence of curiosity, but I believe this because you know exactly how Nolan died and you have no questions, no curiosity. You know how he died. Also, there are things coming out from TMZ, which seems like they're kind of trying to float that it was maybe an accidental OD or something, because now everybody's talking about how drunk Nolan was. But if Nolan was really that drunk, why would you leave him? If he was really that drunk that everybody was concerned, why would you leave him? Now, I know what y'all saying. Oh my God. Well, not y'all, but I know what the people, oh my God, he's a grown man. No, 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 no. See, when you are a captain and you provide sea voyage to people out there, you have a responsibility to make sure all your passengers get away back. It is maritime law. It's illegal to abandon customers. If you're saying he was so pissy drunk that you guys all worried, why would you leave him? On top of that, it is coming out to be more and more evident, and I think they're trying to hide the fact that Nolan did not come out on the same boat that Warren did. And if Nolan did not come out on the same boat, if Nolan did not come out on the same boat that Warren did, then basically everything Warren is telling us is third party information and lies that can't be believed. How the F do you know what Nolan was doing? You weren't there. How do you know how he was acting on the boat going up? How do you know if he denied anything? Everything, since you were not on the same boat going down with them, and you're now saying you were not on the same boat coming back. And you keep saying some friends, some friends, some friends, but 3 boats from left out from the dock on video footage you won't show us, then you know what friend's boat he was on. But everything you've told us about Warren, the way he was acting, what he was doing, that's all third party. It's all hearsay. It can't be verified at all. Let's also not forget that in the GPS coordinates actually docked. I think in Bart's backyard, which also, remember that 4th of, hold on, we're about to get into the audio, but I just want to run through it. Remember that 4th of July picture where people are like, they were in the pool and nobody knew whether they were in the pool or whether that was in 4th of July or whether that was a different day. Then they said it's not 4th of July because it was a party at Ava's house, and the Ava's party happened on the 27th. If you look at that picture, and if you look at the GPS, I'm going to try to put this in a different video so you guys can see the receipts. You look at the GPS for Bart's house. Bart's house was one of the houses that showed up in the GPS search. But if you look at like the Google maps view, they have a basketball hoop in their pool the same way as that picture from the pool with Nolan. And if they all came back and docked at Bart's place, Bart's an adult, remember? Wyatt on the phone lied and said that Warren, I'm sorry, Bart, God, these names. Bart, Warren said in the interview, right? And Wyatt's GPS shows that they all docked at Bart's house because it was a huge house with a pool, with a basketball net. The pool looks like the same pool from that 4th of July party. But hear me out. They all docked there. Um, so if they all docked there and all this stuff happened, it puts Bart's name in the front and center. You were an adult. People docked at your house. You guys came. 2 boats came. Where was the 3rd boat? How did people leave Nolan on an island by himself? Nolan would, anyway, let me just keep going, all right? Because there's more, but let me just keep going, okay? Um, so this is the pool. Again, this guy looks like the swim trunks are navy with white, with a white trim, not like he's wearing shorts underneath. So it looks like he's wearing navy and white swim trunks. Nobody in this picture looks like they were on that boat that was being towed at all. And again, you can get cell phone service. They proved it because they were on their phones in the boat. Oh, that's what I meant to tell you guys. Also, there's one boater. I'm going to put this in a separate, because it was too much trouble assembling all of it into a slideshow. Y'all know I'm technologically, ugh. If you go to Boat Reddit, somebody put in the coordinates of the GPS where he said that he was in Horn Island, and Wyatt had said on the phone that they were in like 31, 32 feet water, or Warren had said that, like, like whatever. However, when they put in the GPS coordinates that the guy had given Cito, it was in very, very shallow water. People are saying they gave the GPS coordinates to Bart's boat, not to Wyatt's boat. Again, I always thought that the GPS coordinate thing was actually really, 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 really weird. And they didn't have that, especially if he's looking right at the boat. The boat has a thing that has the GPS coordinates at all time. It's a safety measure. So for him to be like, hold on. Yeah, you're texting someone being like, fool, send me your GPS location. But let's keep going, all right? All right. So now we have the thing that none of the clothes match. Again, there was one boy with navy shorts, but this one has navy intent. Nobody else's stuff matches. Okay. We see two girls. Um, Again, here we go. The navy shorts right there. Do y'all see a white stripe? I don't. All right. So nobody's clothes match at all. And also, I do want to point out, like I said, this boy in the navy thing, his hair is much, much shorter. Okay. So now we see that, but we do see two girls, and we see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We see 7 people. There's 2 girls, and it looks like there's 5 men. They are claiming this is the exact moment that they were on the phone with Cito, even though they were giving assistance and throwing the rope so the other people could tow them. Very, very odd. Also, when they were towed, hear me out. The grandfather was on the other end talking to the captain on a private, unrecorded line because it was his main cell phone, saying, yo, you don't got to go out there, right? You're on the phone with Cito right now, according to Officer Django's posting. Okay, great. If they were throwing the rope, and if they were trying to see if other people could help them, again, they said they were sinking. This doesn't look like the boat is sinking at all. It doesn't even look like there is water on the deck. They said they were sinking. When you tell somebody you are sinking, that means the boat is literally going underwater, unsunk, right? I don't see any water on the deck. I don't see any signs of panic. But interesting enough, how come they never called Cito back and said, never mind, we just got towed? Because let's not forget, they called for a tow. And when the Cito comes out, they actually take the time to go out there. So if you knew that another ship was being sent to unsink you, and sinking means you're underwater, not taking on water, but it means you're underwater. Why did Wyatt never call back and say, never mind, we're done? That's like you calling AAA for a tire change, and then somebody stops and helps you change the tire. I remember I got a flat tire. You know, they don't make them like they used to. I got a flat tire, and it was so cold. It was cold, right? So cold. And I got a flat tire, and I called AAA, and I called my daddy. And my daddy came out there, got there first, of course, with no gloves on. And he was struggling, and he literally changed my whole tire. And because I was so cold, he told me to go in and sit in the car and turn the heat on. And I remember sitting in the car with the heat on blast. It was so cold outside. While the cars, like, you hear the car being jacked up, the car's being jacked up. I hear my dad fumbling. I hear all, because, his hands are frozen. He didn't have any gloves and all this stuff. And he changed that tire. And, shout out to my daddy, right? He always comes through no matter what. And I just remember, but anyway, here's my whole point. I even remembered, and my dad reminded me, yo, make sure you call AAA and tell them never mind. I find it odd that they didn't call, Wyatt didn't call the tow truck and tell them to go back in. Tell them never mind, especially when you would just call them. Little things that don't make sense. It's almost like Wyatt knew that his grandfather had called them already while he was on the phone with them and told them not to come. It's almost like it was an alibi. The point wasn't to get help. The point wasn't to get the help. The point was to have something on recording, just like the point here is to have a video on recording. But
Okay,
let's keep
so
going.
before I play
Oh, so let me turn my volume up. Is my volume working? Hold on. So anyway,
this, I want
so y'all remember from yesterday, Janetta, I think her name is Janetta Brown. She's on Facebook. She is the one that actually cleaned up the audio. Now, she's going to give her methodology again. I think it's important that you guys hear her methodology if you're hearing this for the first time, because first she did the first 37 seconds that TMZ hid from everybody. I don't know why they did that, but they did. And now she actually cleaned up 5 minutes and 7 seconds of it. She only did 5 minutes and 7 seconds because it takes a long time to actually do it. And she's going to explain her methodology because she doesn't use AI. She doesn't use shortcuts. She doesn't do anything. She is old school. Before there was Chat GPT, there was Chat GT me, there was Chat GPT Jeanette, where she knows what she's doing. She didn't do anything but take out the voice of the CETO person. She took out the background music, and then she enhanced and pumped up the audio for everything that was going on in the background. She did not change. She did not use AI. She didn't do anything. So we're listening to the brand new audio, not the audio that was over the weekend and not the audio that I presented yesterday. This is brand new audio, and it's 5 minutes. Listen to what's saying. Bart's name is thrown up and down there. Why are you on somebody else's boat? Why? Your boat wasn't the boat that towed them, according to Wyatt and according to Warren. So why are you on that boat? And more importantly, who was driving your boat? Anyway, right? Listen to her methodology. It only takes like 30 seconds. And then we're going to get into the 5 minutes so you guys can do that. All right. Yeah. So Shay Buzz. Yes, they did call Jerry before Cito, because how did Jerry know at that exact moment? And why would Jerry tell them they don't need help? Why they're on the phone screaming they need help while they're being recorded by another boat that they're throwing a rope over to get towed? None of it makes sense except the fact that they were trying to establish an alibi. They were trying to establish an alibi, and I believe they were trying to establish an alibi via the timeline. But keep in mind when I say via the timeline, right? As much as they're trying to cover up stuff, I think the one thing that we can be certain of when we're looking at Nolan's, my opinion, when we're looking at Nolan's estimated time of passing, I believe it happened sometime between 4 and 4:30. Because through all of the nonsensical alibis, through all the excuses, through all the interviews, through everything with the police and the judge and the bread and the baker and the candlestick maker, through all that mess, the one thread that is consistent, the one thread that they are begging us to believe, the one thread that they are literally going to town over is the fact that they were not on her island, near her island, and they were in emergency between 4 and 4:30. That's what all this hoopla, the officer Tatum, the everything, the timeline, even what the judge Warren's stepmama put out. It's all to convince us that they couldn't have been anywhere near anything between 4 and 4:30 p.m., which makes me think that whatever went down happened sometime around 4 or 4:30 p.m. All right, so let's listen to her methodology really quick because it's important. I believe I trust sources. Also, y'all, TMZ, I've said it before. I learned this through the Diddy trial. Hi, my name is Tisa. If you guys don't know me, you know, I risked my life to cover the Diddy trial. No, literally, them ninjas were ready to string me up to make sure that abusers could still rule the world. But one thing it did teach me what TMZ is not, I'm not going to say they're not a credible source because they do be knowing stuff, but TMZ are mercenaries. They are for sale. They do not have, in my opinion, a moral compass or even principled coverage. They can go to the highest bidder, and the highest bidder usually gets their story out there. So they are very amoral with the reporting. And I'm not saying news agencies are like these righteous, moral, upright things. Nah. But I am saying that TMZ goes to the highest bidder and they are mercenaries. And one thing I do know is you never trust a mercenary because they might be working for you today, but baby, somebody might have paid them triple a month from now to go after you. They have no loyalty. Their duty is to making money. Anyway, Bees 590 said, Tisa, what precinct does Officer Django work for? Yo, I don't know. I don't know. But Officer Django, I'm not even promoting his channel. Y'all know his favorite line is, if you go, y'all can go to his channel, but this is what his channel, black teens caught being ghetto mess. Please put them in their place. That's one. That's like a title. Black people mad and acting crazy because they don't want to hear the truth about Nolan Wells. Another favorite. Ghetto black hood rat mom learns the meaning of respect. This is literally what I'm not, if y'all go to his channel, y'all be like, damn, Tisa wasn't even exaggerating. Black woman with 11 kids finally learns the meaning of respect. And it's a picture of it's a video of a black woman being brutalized and racially profiled. But of course, ghetto hood rat mess finally gets put in her place. It's literally voyeurism for white people that love, I would assume white and maybe non-black people, right? Because you got, right? It's literally, to me, voyeurism for people that hate black people, and you're enjoying their pain, you're enjoying their suffering, you're enjoying seeing a woman stomped in the head by police officers. Ma'am, put your things. And then it's always the black people's fault. So at the end of the day, he has gotten 4 million followers from repeating the most vile, racist, anti-black stuff, but he says it out of a black face. So, those people can be like, see, even their own kind. But his whole channel is antagonizing, disrespecting, mocking, and humiliating black people. So no, I'm not going to. But that's his stuff. Ghetto black mess. Ghetto black mom. No, ghetto black woman with loud mouth finally put in her place. All right, man. All right, right? Oh my God, Big Crumb. What's up, mama? Big Crumbs, thank you for gifting 5 Tisa Tells memberships. Hold on, y'all. I be running my mouth, so I'm back. Okay, sorry, my thing was going out. But that's his content. If you're into it, you're into it. If you're not, you're not. I doubt you'd be watching my channel if you're into it, but takes all types. All right. So let's listen to our methodology. Then we are going to get into the new cleaned up recordings that have been expanded past the 40 seconds and expanded all the way to 5 minutes. It is very shocking. I guarantee you have not heard it over the weekend and you did not hear it yesterday. This is new breaking, okay? Let's keep going.
Quickly explain what I did, what you're looking at on the screen, and why I chose to approach this audio the way that I did. As a professional audio engineer with experience in dialogue editing, dialogue cleanup, sound design, and post-production, I decided to work on that CTO call using traditional audio processing techniques rather than relying on any AI voice separation or AI enhancement. My goal was pretty much to preserve as much of the original recording as possible while making the quieter dialogue and background audio easier to hear. So I basically used techniques such as subtractive EQ, compression, gain adjustments, noise reduction, frequency isolation, and other traditional processing methods. Yeah. So what I did was I separated Vicky, the CTO dispatcher, from Warren and the audio originating from the boat so that I can concentrate more closely on what was happening behind and around Warren, pretty much on the boat. And I specifically chose not to rely on AI because aggressive AI enhancements and voice isolation tools can sometimes introduce artifacts and distort the speech or create ambiguity around the sounds that were originally present. And for something this serious, I wanted my processing to remain as conservative as possible. You'll also notice time code and dialogue written on the side of the screen and pop up during each segment. That dialogue represents what I personally hear as an audio engineer while processing and repeatedly reviewing these sections. I'm pretty much providing it as a listening reference, not as a declaration that my interpretation is the only possible interpretation. And that's important. I want you to listen for yourself, use headphones if you have them, listen closely, and decide with your own ears what you believe is being said. And you can also return to the original unprocessed recording and compare it directly with what you're hearing here. You'll also notice that my time code may not match the regular timestamp on the original uploaded video. And that's because I'm working inside a professional post-production timeline, a digital audio workstation, basically using SMPTE time code, which in film, that's displayed in hours, minutes, seconds, and frames. Film and TV timelines are completely different from timestamps that you see when you're watching regular videos or when you're watching a movie and you hit pause. So basically the time code on the screen is there to identify the precise location within my working session, not to represent the elapsed timestamp displayed by the original video player. And I hope that makes sense. For this first video, I'm sharing only approximately 37 seconds.
Okay, ignore this part because she gave her methodology and she only did 37 seconds. She said that it was too much for her to do because it was very heavy in her heart what she heard. I'll let you listen. And she said she'll do the other part later. We now have the other part that she did later. Okay, so,
Of the call. I originally intended to continue much further, but once I separated the dispatcher from the boat and started concentrating exclusively on the background dialogue, what I believed I was hearing became extremely difficult for me to process emotionally, and I needed to take a mental break. But I wanted to release this portion because some of the details that stood out most to me occur very early in the call, like right at the top of the call. And so I'm gonna let the audio play. Read my transcription if you want to reference, but don't allow it to determine what you hear. I want you to listen first, listen again, compare it with the original recording, and then judge it with your own ears.
Okay, so here is now the expanded version, not the 37 seconds. It's expanded. Keep in mind as you listen to this, through TMZ, through Officer Tatum, through everybody else, keep in mind that not one person, not Bart, not Wyatt, not Warren, not one of these people, and also there's another person that I keep forgetting his name, but whatever. Not one of these people have disputed the validity of this recording. They keep saying, oh, well, we were panicking, but they are not disputing that the sounds we're hearing are actual sounds. Okay, let's keep going. Now, this is the full, not full, but it's 5 minutes now. Turn your volume up. And if you guys want, I can replay it, but turn your volume up, okay? Starting from the beginning. Now, pause. Just to pose that with the video they showed us when they were on the line calling and all this panic and all this emotion. Did you see that from the beginning, that the video that I showed in the beginning? Did you see anything that reflects that these sounds were coming from the same humans? I apologize for interrupting. Let's keep going.
Hey, we're at the west tip of Horn, and our bilge pump stopped working. We're sinking. Can y'all please come? We have a membership. Shut up! Shut the fuck up!
Damn it, Bart. I know you guys heard that. Bart, what were you doing on their boat being towed out when your boat was still there? What was doing? Why were you on the boat? Why was anybody saying damn it, Bart? I apologize. Hold on. I'll keep going.
What'd you say? Hey. It's coming up. We're just thinking. I don't know. Like we're going down now. I don't know the phone number. It's either. I think it's. Try that. I know we have a membership, like guaranteed. I don't have the tag on here. It got ripped off.
Somebody else for Warren. So we know Warren's on the boat. We know Bart's on the boat.
Reach me at 2.
They bleep out the phone number because it's.
Yeah, everybody talks to it. What?
Right there, it sounded like somebody yelled, Nolan. Now it's Wyatt.
No, we do not need that.
Sounds like he said check his chest or check his pulse, my opinion.
Let me go look.
Will.
North. Are you ready? North 3 degrees. But 46.72. Sorry,
He's
look. What do I need to send you? Yeah, what? No, we do not have the VHF radio. Okay, my coordinates are 30 degrees by 14.684 north, and then west by 88 degrees by 46.79. Yes, we are at Horn Island. Yes. If we were sinking, yes. Oh, we're not aground. We are in 17 foot of water. We're in 31 foot of water. I want to get this boat unsank and towed back, yes. You can tow it to Ocean Springs Harbor, or Fort Bayou Lawn.
I think that's Bart's place.
No, there's no children.
Now, this part is important, okay, as we come up. Let me just do a quick intermission because this part's actually important. I'll do a complete replay in a second where I'm just not talking at all, but I need to say this before I forget. On the original call, remember how they got in this passive aggressive thing? Because she was like, "Are there any adults on board?" And he acted like he didn't hear her, like, "Huh?" Then she was like, "Are there?" And she's like, "No, no, there's no." And she was like, "Are there any humans on board?" And he was like, "Huh?" And she was like, "Are there?" He's like, "No, there's no children." He did not want to say that there was nobody 21 or over on the boat. Bart is 21. Again, why are you trying to cover up the fact that Bart's on the boat? We already heard Bart's name. We heard them yelling at Bart. Also, somebody said, Maddie J said, they testified that they left Nolan on the island and others saw Nolan after they left. You're not making any sense. I will say this. I don't know who you're talking to, Maddie J. I assume you're not talking to me. But even if you are, let's have discourse, right? They testified they left Nolan on the island and they did not hear about Nolan since. Then now that new information has come out, now Warren's saying, "Oh well, no, I know two people that saw him on the island at 6 p.m. They are just making up stuff. Who are these two people? Do they have any proof? What are you talking about? And how out of having 300 or 400 people on the island could only two people notice I think the only black boy that was on the island, because Trayvon, I don't even know if he considers himself black. Um, he, uh, that you know that interview also. It's the last thing before we get back to interview. You know another thing too that Trayvon. I said this boy is in for a rude awakening. I don't wish that on him, but I just know the way the world works. You know he had the nerve to say, and a lot of people calling Nolan black. But they didn't know that he was a quarter Asian. They didn't know he was mixed. I said, if you don't get the hell out of here, that whole Kim Kardashian Northwest argument. My pet peeve is when people are like, there's a difference between light skin and being mixed, right? Light skin means you got 4 black grandparents. Being mixed means one of your parents is culturally and phenotypically white, right? But it really grinds my gear. Well, you will see people that clearly present as one race. And you're just like, oh no, they're biracial. Warren looked like a black boy. Yes, and we sat down and we said, who are your roots? We'll be like, okay, Nolan's mom is Filipino. But when Nolan is walking down the street, Nolan presents as black. But Trayvon wanted us to know Warren wasn't even black. He was mixed. He was biracial. He was Asian. So why is everybody saying it's about race and it's about black and white? I said, oh, you are in for a rude awakening. It's actually very, very sad. But anyway, let's keep going with this. So at the point, whenever there is silence, that's when it's muted. But I want you guys to pay attention really, really close from this point on, because this is the part where he's being cagey about any adults on the boat. And he does not want to say that Bart is on the boat because Bart is 21. He is an adult by every aspect, whether you want to drink or go to war.
Worthless. Try to jump in and pull the plug while you're going. Hello. Okay, what's going on? What's up? There is 0 adults on board.
Did you hear that? Because she kept pressing him. Sir, how many adults are aboard? He was completely ignoring her. Then he jumped out. Okay, what's going on? What's up? There are 0 adults on board. Everybody knows that Bart's 21. He is definitely over 18. Interesting. Let's keep going.
No. Nobody here is over the age of 21.
Did you hear that? Again, baby. Nobody here is over the age of 21. She didn't ask her. She said, is anybody on board 21 or over? But you see how he keeps trying to leave something open so Bart can't be implicated? Bart is an adult and Bart is 21. No. Okay, what's going on? What's up? No, there's no adults. Nobody here is over the age of 21. Okay. The lies. Now, there's a lot of commotion going on in the background. The silence you're hearing is the Ceto girl, like being like, what is going on here? Like, is this being run by like Stuart Little, like mice? Like, what is going on? Are these like 2-year-olds that sold their mama's boat? But the whole point is, at this point, you also hear a lot of dead silence because by this time, Wyatt has enough brains to start muting the call.
Hello? Yes, there's lots of people breathing on the boat.
Did you hear that? It sounded like somebody said, oh, they're dead. And he said, hello? Yes, there's lots of people breathing on the boat. That's a very odd thing to say for somebody you need a tow from, unless it's a fake call and you don't need a tow and you're just annoyed.
Like 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes, we have life jackets available. A Triton, 22-foot offshore, 22-foot Triton offshore sea flight hull.
Okay, so this is Brett. Really quick, because I feel you guys. I'm going to rewind it and I'm not going to say a word. Sorry, really quick. I'm going to rewind it and I'm not going to say a word so you guys can listen to it on peace, okay? Because I don't want to plant ideas in your head. Let's listen to this whole tape again, completely rewound.
First, listen again.
Without my interjections, okay?
Again, compare it with the original recording and then judge it with your own ears.
Hold on, let's get.
Hey, we're at the west tip of Horn, and our bilge pump stopped working. We're sinking. Can y'all please come? We have a membership. Hey, up! Shut the fuck up! What'd you say? Hey. It's coming up. We're just sinking. I don't know. Like we're going down now. I don't know the phone number. It's either. I think it's. Try that. I know we have a membership, like guaranteed. I don't have the tag on here. It got ripped off. Reach me at 2. Yeah, everybody talks to it. What? No, we do not need that. Let me go look. Will. Will. North. Are you ready? North 30 degrees by 46.72. Sorry, look. What do I need to send you? Yeah, what? No, we do not have the VHF radio. Okay, my coordinates are 30 degrees by 14.684 north, and then west by 88 degrees by 46.79. Yes, we are at Horn Island. Yes. If we were sinking, yes. Oh, we're not aground. We are in 17 foot of water. We're in 31 foot of water. I want to get this boat unsank and towed back, yes. You can tow it to Ocean Springs Harbor, or Fort Bayou launch.
I think that's Bart's place.
No, there's no children.
But she asked whether there was adults on board. Not children.
Try to jump in and pull the plug while you're going.
So phony.
Take it out of gear. Take it out of gear. Hello. Take it out of gear. Okay, what's going on? What's up? There are 0 adults on board. No. Nobody here is over the age of 21.
That was a lie.
Hello? Yes, there's lots of people breathing on the boat. Like 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes, we have life jackets available. A Triton, 22 foot offshore, 22 foot Triton offshore sea flight hull.
Okay, now let's go into the second part of this presentation. You guys are welcome. You got to listen to the audio without me interrupting. You guys feel good? I'm just joking. It's all love. All right. You guys ask. I will, if you ask nicely, I'm happy to accommodate, right? But y'all know I get the yaps. So let's get into this, right? I specifically heard them say somebody named Will. I have a flow chart that breaks down everybody that's supposed to be on the boat. I do not see somebody named Will. Now, there has been interesting theories that have been set forth, meaning that, and hear me out, TMZ is starting to release stories that seem like, to me, from someone that reads a bunch of PR, a bunch of spin. You guys cannot agree with my assessment. You cannot agree with the way I view things. But one thing that anybody who watches my channel knows, baby, I am very good at recognizing spin. Very, very good. And I'm very good at recognizing PR stuff launches. I think that's how my channel has grown so much. Mark my words. TMZ is already starting, now that this audio's come out, to float stuff saying, hey, everybody said Nolan was so drunk, unbelievably drunk. Really? Now Nolan was a town drunk, walking around, and it makes me feel like they are now going to try to soft launch some type of OD story. Some type of accidental OD, maybe OD with alcohol, but something with the toxicology reports. I think that's what they're going to try to launch. And I think they're going to use that as an excuse. Hold on, I have reasons why I think this. I think they're going to use that as an excuse for why Warren's autopsy is going to come back with no water in his MF lungs and no diatoms in his bone marrow. If you don't know what diatoms is, I did a whole live and a video about it. It's basically microscopic algae. When you drown, you have aspiration, right? When you drown, now you can get it from food going into your lungs that don't belong there. Or with drowning, you can get it from water. When you take the water in, the water first starts a hemorrhage in your lung sacs, your air sacs in your lungs. And it creates tiny microscopic tears in your airways, but also eventually the air sacs ruptures. Drowning is a very painful death. Drowning is also one of the easiest things to prove in an autopsy. One of the easiest things. The way they cannot come back and tell us it isn't a drowning off the bat, let us know that Nolan was either dead or, my opinion, close to dead when he entered the water. Okay? Why is that important? Because even while you're drowning, your heart is still breathing. When you drown, the water makes your airways start to rupture, tiny microscopic tears, then your air sacs fill with water, and then the water eventually busted. Why? Water, of course, is heavier than air. It makes it expand. Your body can't expel it. Whatever, it ruptures, right? But in that time, technically when you drown, you literally, everything eventually, you die of a heart attack because your heart stops beating, okay? Now, the drowning is what causes a heart attack. In between the drowning and your airways rupturing and your heart stops beating, your heart beats. There's a period of time when your heart beats in between them. While your heart is beating, your blood is circulating through. Why is that important? Because in every lake, in every ocean, and this is why they're withholding the autopsy stuff, in every lake, in every ocean, in every body of water, whether it is still or it is moving, there are microscopic organisms that live in there. I think this is why they're also trying to not share what was in Nolan's stomach. Those microscopic organisms are unique with the flora, and I would say fauna, but fauna might be like mammal. Anyway, it has microscopic living organisms in there, okay? And microscopic flora. It also has something called diatom, which is microscopic algae. I know you guys, if you guys are new, I'm explaining diatom. If you're not, I'll be done in 10 seconds, right? It's a microscopic algae called diatom. When the water ruptures your airways, the diatom gets in your bloodstream. They are in every single body of water, unless you die in an aqueduct. And even then, I think there might be microscopic flora there, right? It goes into your bloodstream. And because your heart is still pumping, it is literally, when you pump, it goes through your whole bloodstream. And when it goes through your bloodstream, because your bone marrow is so porous, they also start attaching to the bone. You guys know with algae, they attach to anything. When you get your first preliminary autopsy, one of the first things they look for in an autopsy is what's in your stomach, what's in your lungs, but they even check your bone marrow to confirm that there is microscopic algae attached in your bone or in your bloodstream. It does not show up in a second autopsy because there is a time difference of degradation. Diatom and microscopic flora does not stay in your body forever. They also have a shelf life. But usually with your first autopsy, there will be either diatoms in the bone marrow, it'll be microscopic flora, and all these organisms that are native to that water area, right? Water mass, if that's what you call it. And there will be other stuff. On top of the rupture, the microscopic tears, and your heart stopping. Again, you guys, drowning is one of the easiest things to prove in an autopsy. If you do not have the diatom, if you do not have any of the microscopic organisms that are indigenous to that area in your that area of water in your stomach, if you do not have the tears and the rupture, then you didn't drown because your heart is still beating while your lungs are being filled with air. And in that time, that mess travels through your whole body. Now, if you were dead or close to dead, meaning barely breathing when you enter that water, You will never take in the water because you're not breathing it in, so it doesn't go down your airways, and it definitely can't rupture your air sacs. And any water you do take in, right, will not be pushed through your whole body because your blood's not circulating. Which is why I think that they're withholding the stomach, the lungs, and everything else. And the fact that they won't, hear me out. I do know it is very common to share, to keep organs back. That is common in an autopsy. No, we're not sending you the throat. No, we're not sending you the lungs. However, what is uncommon is they always invite the second independent autopsy to come to their facility and to inspect the lungs, the throat, the stomach, and any other vital organs they kept back. They also share whatever analysis they had, such as the bone marrow and the diatom, because time prevents the second autopsy from getting an accurate read on whether there are diatoms in the bone marrow. I believe that's why they're not holding information. And hear me out. It sounds like to me, from what I see TMZ doing and all this stuff, and TMZ is up for the highest bidder. They don't care. They're mercenaries. They really are. They're Ronin, if you will. I believe that now they are trying to float a theory that it was some type of intense intoxication or some type of accidental OD. And that's where they're going to say why Nolan drowned and why it looks like he was already dead when he entered the water. Dead or close to dead, because when you're close to dead and your heart slows so much it's barely moving, you're not going to get much movement from your blood's not moving. Your blood needs to be moving from a healthy heart. Now, why might they be hiding Bart? This is Bart Edmonston. Ocean Springs, he was a punter, just like Nolan. Remember when I said there might have been some jealousy over Katie? Remember in the last live, I talked about small town it girls. It's not necessarily, as somebody that grew up in a small town where there was lots of money around, the it girl doesn't mean that you are the prettiest thing going. You might be, maybe you're blessed, but the it girl in a small town is usually the girl whose family is the richest. Because in small towns, baby, they operate like small kingdoms. Everybody wants to marry into money. And they want to marry into legacy. It means a lot. Like, oh, your dad owns a pharmacy, or your dad, it means a lot, right? It might be small potatoes to big city people when you're like, well, there's billionaires living down the street. But in small towns, oh, she owns all the ranch land. And if you're pretty and your family got money, well, baby, you are the belle of the ball. It is also common, not when you got a black mama, but for everybody else, that in small towns, the it girl regularly dates boys in the same friend group. Because let's be real, it's a limited dating pool, right? And it is common that you date this because every guy's trying to get you. You see what I'm saying? So the point of this matter is maybe Bart, like Katie, Nolan and Bart played the same position. I believe they were both punters. Maybe, but correct me if I'm wrong, right? I'm not a real big football person, so maybe I got that wrong. But they both played football. Bart was supposed to be a big deal, but he never really went far. Whatever, right? Small pond, big fish. Now he in a bigger pond, small fish, but he coming back. The point of all this to say, one interesting thing about Bart, and I'm going to go into what his actual family does. Bart's dad, I believe, runs a pharmacy, or one of the boys' dads that were on the boat. I believe it's Bart, but I have a chart we'll go over. Actually runs a pharmacy. If your daddy runs the local pharmacy, and one thing we know about small town kids, baby, they love to get high. They love to get high. Again, I got 4 black grandparents. In my small town, I was restricted from any of the effery. I was restricted from any of the effery. I had to be home. No, I couldn't have spend the night. No, I couldn't go to the parties. No, I couldn't. No, I couldn't. No, I couldn't. Right? So now looking back, I just thought they were so strict and ruining my life. But now looking back, I'm like, yo, y'all were just keeping me out of bullshit. But one thing I do know from not being allowed to go to the parties, but hearing the recap the next day, baby, there's nothing a small town loves more than getting high. Like, that's the thing. Euphoria, nothing they love more. If your daddy is the plug, I'm not saying he would do that. I'm not accusing it. But if your daddy is the plug, right? And you can get whatever you want, ba 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 ba. Like, how do we know that Bart wasn't passing stuff around? How do we know it wasn't something fentanyl laced? How do we know? Again, this opens up a whole new chapter, and I think that's why they were trying to keep Bart's name out of everything. This is Bart. He got 2,496 followers. I don't know how big Ocean Springs is. Let me check really quick because that may or may not be a lot of followers, but it seems like Bart is suffering from small, what do you call it? Small fish, no, big fish, small pond syndrome, you know? So maybe this shows that he is big dog. Hey, really quick, in Ocean Springs in Jackson County, Mississippi, what's the population? Okay, we'll get that answer back. But let me get into this, right? So this is Bart. This is also Bart. Again, I'm trying to figure out from that video which one was Bart. Again, I do not believe that video is helpful in any way. It's meant to distract. I did not see anybody that looked like this kid, right? Especially because this guy plays football. Everybody else had ballet body builds. So he didn't really look like even punter. I don't know. Nolan was, but he was muscular. You see what I'm saying? Like they got to go through drills. So my point in saying, I just saw a bunch of like ballet build bodies. Right? Didn't see anybody that looks like they actively had to hit the weight room or that the coach was telling them to drop and give me 50. I didn't see anybody that actively looked like him. But again, we did hear they yelled out Bart, they yelled out Will, and they yelled out Nolan. Now, Bart was insisting that he was in Wyoming for a year, but that was another intellectually dishonest thing. Because yes, you may have been in Wyoming for the past year, but on 4th of July, according to this MDMR report, you were 100% on the scene of the crime. So much so that you were listed as an involved entity. Involved in what? Involved in what? Out of everybody's name they could have put down, why did Bart, and Bart's name was the only other boat that was searched. Why would you put down Bart's name? Out of everybody else, Katie's name ain't listed as involved entity, right? Half the other people's name ain't listed. Why is your name listed as an abortion? And why does your name keep popping up over and over and over? Again, Bart's dad owns a pharmacist. Now, I'm not implying that that's the plug, but he owns a pharmacy, right? It is what it is. Hold on really quick. I have a little bit more evidence. Da, 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 da. Okay, so this is a flow chart that, who made this? I'm going to give credit where credit is due. Kim, what's this lady's name? Kim, hold on, y'all. Oh, her name is Kim on Instagram. Kim, shut up. I'm almost got it. Y'all like Tisa, save this for, okay, we'll save that for the end of class. Her name is Kimberly, Cajun spelling, Kymbrali, Kimberly on Instagram. Okay, so look, there is a flow chart that I believe Kimberly made. If not, let's get into this. Oops, hold on, y'all. Sorry. Let me get to the end of this. Is this it? Let's get to the flow chart. Because this is interesting. Another reason why everybody might be closing, I don't think people really know that these people are very well connected and they are very embedded. Again, this could mean nothing, but I think it's important that we actually read it and go through it. All right, let's do this. First, let's zoom in. Poor Nolan. All right. Such a bright and Trayvon. A lot of people don't know why they say Nolan Black. He mixed. This boy is dead. And all you want to do is be justice for mixed people. Man, shut up. Anyway, Nolan, God, Trayvon is in for a root wake. Okay, so let's talk about Warren Hudson first. Katie Hudson Seymour is the mother. Dr. Benjamin Hudson, MD, he is an ER specialist in Singing River Health System in Patagonia. However, he is not only that, he is the head of the toxology department. Now, he's head of the toxology department in one of the biggest hospitals. Could be something, could be nothing, but it's interesting to know what everybody knows. We also have Warren is the stepson of Judge Ashley Cole. Judge Ashley Cole, you all know that she came out with her, leave my boy alone. He's my child, and we got 6 children. And I got, she came out on her mama bear stuff. Man, shut up. This is not Little House on the Prairie and Birth of a Nation. Just answer the questions, ma'am. But that Judge Ashley Cole, who, by the way, Ben Crump is sending everybody preservation notices. I know they so mad they can't bully. So Katie Hudson Seymour is the mother. Dr. Benjamin Hudson is the father. He is the head of toxicology as far and also an ER specialist. Don't forget they are withholding toxicology results. The only thing I can say with the independent autopsy, and shout out to Colin Kaepernick for doing what needed to be done, because even though if they had to take the first doctor, Stacy Turner, who, by the way, they keep saying they can't release results on Noone, but in the past couple of years since she got appointed, they always brag that she comes back with her stuff lickety split. That's why she got promoted to head pathologist, Dr. Stacy Turner. But there have been 4 instances where people have died either in police custody or on police searches. And she's like, oh, it's inconclusive. And other independent pathologists have looked at her results and said, there's no way that this could be inconclusive. I'm not saying she forges the results to say whatever the police are saying. That's what they're saying. That's what other activists have said about other cases, okay? But keep in mind with they're withholding the toxicology report. Keep in mind, I think they're mad. Shout out to Kaepernick for having independent autopsy, because the thing is, if there was only the one pathologist doing it, you could say, oh no, we found cuckoo crack, fentanyl, whatever, in his whatever. But the independent autopsy will go so far as to confirm that the sample they're even looking at shares the same DNA as Noone. So it's going to be very hard to change the evidence or to give falsified results because there's somebody else checking out what you do. So shout out to Colin Kaepernick for doing that. And also, let's not forget, independent autopsies are not cheap. They start around 80, 90,000. The best of them can go up to 200, 250,000 or even higher. Autopsies are not cheap, especially when you're doing independent. So keep that in mind, right? But interesting that if toxicology could have been faked, he would have been the person that could fake it, because they would have access to all sorts of samples and lab results. And he would know exactly how to fake it to make it look convincing, because not only is that what he does for a living, but he is the head of the department. Not accusing anyone of anything. I am saying it's convenient, right? Also, really quick before we move in. Oh, and also, Judge Ashley Cole is the stepmom. Y'all know Judge Ashley Cole. Gelato said it's Bart Fart. Also, you guys, the people that got free memberships from B Crumbs, make sure y'all thank her. Bees, thank you so much for the super chat. And Boss Lady Ross said, has the boat video been authenticated? Well, here's the thing I do want to say, Boss Lady Ross. That is an important question. Has it been authenticated? At this point, we only know that's what those boys are saying. And TMZ is going with that narrative. Now, the funny thing is, TMZ, about to give y'all a show. TMZ has not authenticated anything. At this point, they're just releasing whatever them boys and Officer Tatum tells them to. So no, it has not been authenticated. That's a good point, Boss Lady. It has not been authenticated, which means that we don't know from GPS, from timing, from anything, whether that video is actually at that moment that they called Cito. We just know what they're saying. But even if we take them at their word, it still doesn't make sense. You see, this is the thing about why they're so stupid and why that Officer Tatum video was so dumb, except for if Warren really isn't the person that did it and he's just trying to cover his own hoo-ha, right? Because y'all not wearing the same swimsuits. Nobody's panicking. You're proving that there is cell phone service on Horn Island. So what are we doing? What are we doing? Why would you even release that? But again, I think it shows that they're actually panicking and that they're moving toward an accidental OD, or he was so drunk he drowned himself thing and his heart started beating and then he slipped into the water. Okay. So there's that. Nothing any of these kids have said has been individually authenticated or verified. And I just find it odd that even when you aren't talking under oath, You still don't make sense. Now, when things are going to be interesting, baby, Ben Crump has released the hounds. They sent out a note to the governor, Ashley Cole, everybody involved. We want preserve everything. If you can, preserve what you ate for breakfast 2 weeks ago. Preserve your droppings in the toilet. Ben Crumpet's not playing. And I think that's what they're getting nervous of, because all these pictures, all these things, even all the coordinates, now there is GPS, there's cell phone records, there's pinging, there's all these ways to verify. You get what I'm saying? There's all these ways to verify. And that's when we're really going to start having answers. And I think that's why, because don't forget, who was it that just, there's so many developments. I'm going to make stories about all this later, but I do want you to focus on this one girl. What's her name? Trayvon. Yo, this is not about race. All right. It's about lack of care. It's about callous. It's about him being dead. Let me just say this. The fact that Nolan is Black and he's dead, I agree. I do not think this is about race. I think that a dead Black child among a group of affluent white kids, I think it raises every racial wound this country has. But at the end of the day, we don't even have to make it out of race. 7 went out, 1 didn't come back. Everybody else don't care what happened. And we're trying to get to the truth. How are you literally trying to act like we're trying to start like race wars? Because we're like, what happened? Can we see the results? And yes, we do want to see it. And yes, if it was opposite, and I think if it was 3 Black boys and 1 white kid, baby, the president would have tweeted about this by now. I do believe that. If you don't believe that be true, that's you. But baby, whatever. Anyway, this one girl, what's her name? She's an official. She had the nerve. Oh, get this. Mississippi AG Fitch warns about threats towards law enforcement working the Noone Wells case. Baby, they have weaponized their fear and tears. When they first started, they tried to say, them boys, we gotta shut this case down. Them boys ain't scared. The boys ain't safe. And Nolan's mom said, well, guess what? I've been receiving death threats since last whenever. She's literally getting negative reviews on her job website when they're like, oh, leave a review about a physician. They're literally trying to run this out of town. The FBI came and said, leave them boys alone. Miss Wansley, Nolan's mama, came in and said, I've been getting harassed too. What's up? All of a sudden they calmed it down. Because now they can't make an issue out of going after people that's harassing and threatening. Because at the end of the day, those boys ain't being harassed. At the end of the day, Nolan's mama's being harassed, but they don't want to have to investigate that. So now they up the ante. Now the AG is saying that law enforcement is working on Nolan's case, is receiving intimidation, disruption. And that's the way they're going to try to shut it down now. We have to take everything secretly because now the law enforcement's in danger. Y'all ninjas got guns. I don't want to hear it. Shut up. Who's harassing the law enforcement? They just be making stuff up. They just want to get a narrative that they're not safe so they can shut this whole investigation down and take it clandestine and not share information with anyone. Because every time we share something, now the police are getting harassed. By who? Post the screenshots. Post the recordings. I want to see I don't even know who's working. Besides the sheriff, I don't even know the detective working on this case. Again, they keep trying to find ways that they can do everything in secret for the safety of the people in the case. Anyway, they said Fitch's office issued a statement warning that any efforts to intimidate, disrupt, or interfere with the case will be taken seriously. So why don't you arrest all these people that went on Officer Tatum? And why don't you arrest all these boys that's posting videos and leaking information? And while you at it, why don't you go past TMZ? Because as much as y'all told us things were going to be locked down, TMZ is getting access to everything and talking to law enforcement. But again, we've seen this play. If they're harassed, if they feel unsafe, if something happens, now this is an excuse to keep everything secret. Shut up. I saw Mississippi burning. Y'all ain't speaking nothing but the third scene. Shut up. In the first 30 minutes of the movie, I already saw Mississippi burning. Anyway, let's get into the other people. Wyatt, who I think we should be looking at, is right here. Wyatt is involved in the C2 emergency call. We heard his name. His grandfather is Jerry Alderson. He is the boat owner. Jerry Alderson also has one of the biggest boat dealerships. He sells CETO memberships. He is big dog in that community, okay? So which is why he had the CETO's captain's number. He is one of the big dogs in the community. So is Warren, one of the big dogs, all right? Now, his mother is Jennifer Anderson Pyron. She's communications PR, Biloxi Public School District. The father is James T. Jimmy Pyron III. Occupation not publicly verified. Let's just say he's the town drunk. I'm just joking. I don't know what he does, but whatever, right? So we have Jerry Ackerson, which is the grandfather. His mama, she's big in the school district. If you know anything about small towns, it's big. And Jimmy Pyron, his occupation is not publicly verified. Okay, we'll leave it at that. Let's move on to Bart Edmondson Jr. He's listed in U.S. Coast Guard report. His father is Bart Edmondson, a doctor. He's pain management physician and anesthesiologist, right? So he's big dog in a small town. His mother is a physical therapist. Um, okay. Bart is pain management. His mother, physical therapist, and Bart Edmondson, it says husband. I don't know what that means, but whatever. Maybe that's his. No, I don't know. Anyway, let's move on to Will Parker. So remember, they screamed, Will! This is who they say they're talking about. Will Parker, Biloxi High School football and baseball. He went to the University of Alabama in Huntsville. This sounds like a Klan CV. Anyway, his father is Dr. Jeremy W. Parker, DMD. He's a general dentist. His mother looks like a stay-at-home mom. He has a bunch of siblings: Haley, Olivia, Patrick, and Peyton. All right. Now, there were two unidentified females. One was younger, and one might have been an adult, but we don't know that yet. There's also Eli Jax Patalo. He had Nolan's car and Key's location. So Nolan's car was parked in front of his house. This is also where Nolan's keys were found. And let's not forget, in the interview, Warren said that they all left from Eli Jack's house and they came back to crash at his house. So he said they were all staying there the night before the boating, and then they came out. I don't understand how 3 boatloads of people actually stayed there, but maybe Warren's saying that him and Nolan both stayed there. Again, I believe that in the new evidence, it's been proven that Warren was not on the same boat as Nolan going out or coming back. Maybe he was on Bart's boat. Anyway, here's the thing. Hold on, y'all. Oh, okay. So this is the new guy. Hold on. Let me. Where? Okay. So again, Bart's father is pain management physician and anesthesiologist. So he does have access to that supply. Eli, okay, I stand corrected, not Bart, but Eli, his father is a pharmacist, and he's the owner of Piddle Drugs, multiple locations in Moss Point and Pascagoula, Mississippi. Jennifer Howe Pittake is his is also a pharmacist, and she is, or Patali, whatever, it's also a pharmacist, and it seems like she works for the daddy. So this guy, Eli, is the plug. Even though I stand corrected, Bart's father is not the pharmacist. Bart's father is a doctor that does pain management. So because he specializes in pain management, we all know, well, 20 years ago, pain management meant you was giving out slinging opium pills like it was nothing. But he still does have access to the things that kids like to play around with. And Eli definitely got access to the things that people play around with. We also have Erica Elacantera. Her name is mentioned in several reports related to the Alcantara. Is she Spanish? Related to the incident. Parents, business owners of a towing trucking company based in Mississippi, and her mama is a teacher in one of the school districts. All right. We also have Morgan Seymour. Now, here's the thing. I believe Morgan Seymour might be Warren's brother, because Warren did say in Officer Dum Dum's interview that his brother was fighting. They said it shares a last name with Katie Hudson Seymour, mother of Warren Hudson, possible family ties. Warren did say his brother was fighting. Morgan has the same last name as Warren's mother, and Morgan and Warren, I don't know, I feel like somebody would name their kids Morgan and Warning. And again, from a local Mississippi Gulf Coast. Finally, we have Katie McCord, witness who was present or near the water, spoke with authorities, local Gulf Coast family. Katie's with others on the water on July 4th and provided. Now, again, I tend to think that Katie was the belle of the ball. I do want to do more investigation into her family because, again, just my nature of small town politics. When you are that highly coveted, your family usually is something well off or well to do because, again, they treat them like they're little fiefdoms where they're trying to marry the noble person, the Duke of Archibald's daughter. You feel what I'm saying? Um, Saya 201 said, I know what y'all mean, but can we please stop calling them boys? These are whole adults we're talking about. Appreciate you, Tisa. Okay, Nolan was a child. They were grown men who knew what they were doing. I'll tell you one thing, fine. Well, stop calling them boys. I do believe that at 18, you're still a little kid. Bart is the only, in my opinion, adult that was on that boat. You're 21 and over. You're the only adult. And for Wyatt to try to act like he didn't grow up in America and he didn't know that when they asked, are there any adults on board, that you wouldn't point to the 21-year-old, the only person that can legally buy alcohol in the state of Mississippi, the only person that can legally buy alcohol in the state of Mississippi, you don't know that he's an adult. All right, sure. Bart is also giving me, hold on. Bart is also giving me, what's going on? Hold on, y'all, real quick. Bart is also giving me like someone whose glory days are in high school because let's be real. You can have all your friends from high school, but when you graduate and you go to college and you're 21 and you're hanging out with people that just graduated, it's given you're going to be that 24-year-old that still shows up on her island and you hang out with all the 18 and 19-year-olds because they still treat you like big dog and remind you of your glory days. I do think it's a bit odd that a 21-year-old is hanging out with all 18-year-olds. I think it's a little odd. I think it says a lot about his ego, his pride. And again, I'm just speculating. I think it says a lot about his ego. It says a lot about his pride. And it says a lot about the fact that he misses his glory days and the way the kids, especially if he's been in Wyoming for a year, right? Because when you're happy where you are, you ain't coming home for July 4th. Please, I got July 4th with these Wyoming girls, right? On somebody's ranch. But you get what I'm saying. I feel like, which goes into my theory, and this is all theories. Nobody knows what happens, that somehow Bart, now that we know Bart's involved, Bart might have tried to son Nolan. Maybe it was to get Katie's attention back. Maybe Katie was his old girlfriend. I don't know. But it leads me back to Bart might have tried to son Nolan because a 21-year-old that flies back home to be the only person around a bunch of 18-year-olds. Well, I mean, you can do the math on the psychology, right? You can do the math. They are the people that at 23, 24, 25, they still flying home to kick it on 4th of July weekend with the 18-year-olds. And you so cool because you're the only one that can buy alcohol. And you're the only one that could do this. And you got all this money. And you got all, yeah, because y'all 18 and can't have jobs. And I've been working full time. You see what I'm saying? So I think that's what might be actually going on. Now, what other stuff do we have? Okay, but yes, Saya, we will stop calling them boys, even though I do think that Warren being 18, he was a child. Okay, so last thing I'm going to do, and if you guys, is this live is too much for you? Don't worry. You know I'm going to make a bunch of little videos beating this to death, but also like new things, right? Feminine Melanin said that's a so-called boat with zero water in it. Yes, Feminine Melanin. Yes. Girl, I wish we were in the same room so we could talk. Yes, that's what I'm saying. Hey, let me put the boat back before we get into the narrative, right? This is the part that's, look at this. No sinking. Nobody is panicked. Nobody's talking. They're just all standing around. Nobody's even wearing the same clothes. And forgive me, I don't mean to say this, but I cannot distinguish the boys from each other. I'm not even trying to be funny. I just know they all have ballet body builds and sunburn, but I cannot distinguish them. But so the only thing with their faces, they all look alike to me, right? So the only thing I can distinguish right now is what they're wearing. And nobody in this video is wearing the same clothes that they were wearing when they took the picture with Nolan on July 4th. The only person wearing the same clothes is Nolan. And again, like I said, this is not a girl's trip to Tahiti where you make 5 outfit changes because you're trying to do it for the gram. It's 4th of July weekend. No man have I ever met, and 3 of them at the same time done outfit changes. For what? For what? For what? Especially when you get in water. But anyway, look, nobody got a life jacket on. Nobody's even reaching for the life jacket. This guy in the back, who may be Trayvon, he's not even looking for the bilge pump. Nobody's doing anything. They're just, look, no panicking, no nothing. They're just sitting there being filmed. Even the guy on the boat, I think that's Wyatt on the phone, he don't look like he's panicking. So the audio doesn't match. And you can see clearly at the boat, there's no water in the boat. So what do you mean you need to get unsank? Words mean something. He didn't say they were taking on water. He said they were unsank. They need to get unsank. So where? What's going on? None of them. Nobody's panicking. Nobody's doing anything. So what are we doing? And they released 20-second clip. Why don't you release the rest? But this was taken off of the viewpoint of the nice boat that was going to tow them. Again, this all looks staged to me. All of it looks staged. Every last minute. Who would have thought? Officer Tatum, he did his big one on that. Who would have thought? Sometimes, who would have thought? Who would have thought that Uncle Tom would be the one rebuilding the cabin? Who would have thought? Life is funny. Life is funny. I don't think Officer Tatum thought that his interview, I think he thought he was going to be, Captain Save-A-Ho. Y'all get under my thing. He thought he was going to do some the Django Unchained protected. And literally all his interviews are having social media. It's like, yeah, lock him up. We don't need to stop. Literally, every time I get a news update, I'm like, you can stop right there. And is them boys in custody? Lock them up. I don't want to hear anymore. This is getting ridiculous. Here's the boats. Here's the thing, okay? You see one boy that is wearing navy, but it's navy with a white trim on his swim trunks. You see Nolan, right? Look, right? And then you see, I will say one thing also. So this kid with the blue and white, you can tell also he doesn't have he looks like he's been exercising, just like Nolan looks like so you see what I'm saying? The other boys just look a little bit scrawny. And I'm not trying to whatever. I'm saying that when you compare these physiques to the people that were on the boat, forget about their clothes not matching. The physique doesn't match. The physique does not match. So it is okay, what are we doing? Constance, thank you so much for the super chat. Constance says, keep your foot on the neck. These folks are doing everything to cover up and deny what's going on in Ceto. Yes, which brings me to my last thing, which I think is very important. I'll make a separate video about this, but since y'all rocked with me in live for so long, I wanna honor y'all and give the rest of my theories, right? So Kyle Doug 94 on Twitter said they gave 2 10-second clips conveniently timed right after the audio dropped. Where's the rest of the footage? Where's everyone's phones? If you're this confident, turn over all the media, every phone, every device. Selective editing proof isn't a strategy. Of course. More importantly, Kimberly on Instagram had a really, really good point. She said this, Warren, he claimed to call the coast for 20 minutes, yet Brianna Asher logged a call at 11:45 p.m. on July 4th and sent no one out to search. Okay? This time was later corrected as the initial report state the missing person report was not placed until July 5th, 10:05 a.m. by Bart Edmonston. So Bart was the one that placed the missing person report, not Warren. Bart is a suspect who claimed to be in Wyoming for 1 year, and he wasn't present on July 4th. That has since been proven false. Warren also claimed to call the Coast Guard at 11:45 p.m., but stated on Officer Tatum's show that Javon's mother retrieved Nolan's phone at 1 a.m. That's another thing. They tried to make it sound like the mom busted in and got the phone 2 days later. From the time they got that call that Nolan was missing at 11:07, Nolan's mom jumped into action. She placed a missing person report at midnight, and by 1 a.m., they was busted into the house demanding the phone. Now, in the interview, I do remember I do remember that. Oh, that's a good point. Feminine melanin. Thank you so much. You said also that's not the location they had given in the angle. That is so true. Feminine melanin. Feminine melanin. Thank you for that, and thank you for the super chat. But hear me out. They try to act like it all. No, Nolan's mother was on their ass, and you know what? That's so sick and scary that as a mother, you know something's wrong, and imagine finding out your worst fear but what your intuition was telling you that this is an emergency actually came to be. And even if they said that Warren had accidentally drowned, imagine, let's just say they're telling the truth and Warren had accidentally drowned. If they had mobilized and searched when they should have, Warren might still be alive. So even by their own story, you guys like the Coast Guard at least gross misconduct. Faster action, even on an honest drowning, could have meant something. Let's just say they say Nolan, sorry, not Warren, if I said his name, but Nolan. Imagine that they said if Nolan was so drunk he passed out on the beach and then the tide came and swept him away. If you guys had searched when the mom told you, all this could have been prevented. But I don't even think that happened. It's a lie. But even by their own lies, it don't make sense. So listen to this. Also, they said, yeah, she just kicked the door in and came in. Yeah, it sounds like she was knocking on the door yelling, give me Nolan's phone. Y'all were hiding, hoping she'd go away. She found out the door was open and came in and said, give me Nolan's phone. Because why were y'all saying, how did you call the Coast Guard? How did you call Nolan's mom? And now we're asking for the phone and you're acting stupid. Anyway, let's get back into the notes I have. I'm not going to hold y'all real quick, but I do want to read these to y'all. Getting back to Warren's ass, they said Warren also claimed to call Coast Guard at 11:45 p.m., but stated on Officer Tatum's show that Javon's mother retrieved Nolan's phone at 1 a.m. However, he had not mentioned he already called the Coast Guard and instead told him he assumed Nolan was drunk asleep on someone's couch. Both things cannot be true. So you called the Coast Guard and made a missing person report, but then you told the people that came into your house, right? Came into your house, yo, I thought Nolan was just asleep. If you thought he was asleep, then what was you calling the Coast Guard for? And what did you say on the Coast Guard call? And I'm willing to bet that the Coast Guard has a recorded call. And also, when it comes to the Coast Guard and recorded calls, one of the reasons this came out, remember a long time ago that the MDMR said, oh, also Feminine Melanin said, so all of them got boats and none of them jumped to go looking for their best friend Nolan, but they hesitated giving his phone and car keys to his dad friend. Not only hesitated, but actively hid it. She had to bang in and bust that door. Why didn't you give the phone? Also, thank you so much, Feminine. Also, Mari KP said, how did they unlock Nolan's phone to delete messages? Did they use Nolan's face? Oh, good one. Did they use Nolan's face or fingerprint to unlock the phone due to Cito? Due to Cito, Nolan was on the boat. That's a good point. How did they unlock Nolan's phone? Or did they have Nolan? Because all my friends had the passcode to my phone, right? Like, they could have had, but that's a good point. How did they unlock Nolan's phone? Or, yeah, how did they unlock Nolan's phone? That's a good point. And Feminine Melanin said they still haven't said who drove his car from the dock. Oh, that's a good point too. That's a good, again, none of it is adding up. I will say this. Remember a long time ago when TMZ had a article and the MDMR, that's like the Marine thing from Mississippi, released this thing saying information was unauthorized release in the Freedom of Information request. And it was released without authorization. And I was like, who was it released to? And then it occurred to me, y'all weren't freaking out about the GPS and that report, the MDR report where they have Bart saying, y'all weren't freaking out about that. Y'all were freaking out at the fact that that phone call was released also. I think that when the MDMR released that information under the Freedom of Information Act, they, again, remember when I said that a cover up, everybody has to know what we're trying to cover up? I think they were freaking out because the audio destroyed their story. I think that's what they were freaking out. And that explains that TMZ article and the way the MDR and the government was like, information was released without authorization because you didn't want anybody to have the audio. Also, really quick, Harris C69 said, thank you for super chat, said, I believe Nolan was dressed when they found him. I also believe Nolan was on that boat. That's why they had his phone. I 100% believe you too. I don't believe that a 18-year-old left their phone. And the phones work on Horn Island. We saw from the 911 call. I don't believe he left his phone for a second at all. And also, when you're used to being around water, you have either your phone in a Ziploc bag or you have it in a waterproof case. This is not their first time around the block. So the fact that they're trying to act like, oh, we have to leave our phones in the boat, bullshit. Also, Feminine Melanin said, if they had his body at the house, there should be fingerprints. You know what I think? I think the truth is somewhere in the middle. I think that second boat was to transfer Nolan's body and to take it somewhere else. And I think that's why they made a big point of at 4 or 4:30 p.m. Because think about it. If your dad is the head of toxicology, if your dad is the head of pain management, if your dad is a pharmacist, let's just say you taking pills, right? And you doing all the stuff. And let's just say somebody starts ODing and you're just like, I don't know what to do. So you call your parents and they're like, is he breathing? What's going on? And that's why everybody's screaming, check his pulse, what's going on? And I think that the parents would justify it by saying, well, it was just an accident. Why should our boys have to suffer? And I think they were like, hey, here is the alibi. Go a little bit off of Horn Island away from everybody. Call Cito, have Cito. And the reason they called Cito is because they needed an alibi for why they were a little bit away and why a second boat came and then left. And I want to know the second boat's GPS. I want to know where the second boat went. And I want to know whether any of those boats or any boat related to those people ever went back to Horn Island where Nolan's body was found. That's what I want to know. And Ben Crump is on it. He is getting the GPS. But that is what I want to know. I believe this whole alibi was crafted as an excuse to why a second boat came. And I want to know, and here's the thing, they keep talking about the second boat. I want to know about the third boat too. I want to know about the third boat, and I want to see the GPS and the phone locations and everything for everybody else that has a boat and that's related to them with family. And I want to see who they called. Because now that we know that the grandfather was calling the captain on the side and unrecorded lines, oh, everybody was calling. I want to see between 4 and 4:30 who Warren's stepmama called. I want to see who the grandfather called. I want to see if all the parents were calling each other. I want to see everything. And I want to see it in detail. And I think that's the key to everything. And I think that's why Ben Crump is on their ass. Anyway, Bart, now let's get to Bart. Bart is confirmed name on the missing person Coast Guard report. He was mentioned in the Cito audio. The GPS location matched Fort Bayou residents on water, with Bart having private dock access. And Bart attempt to conceal involvement by claiming to be in Wyoming for 1 year, when the truth was you might live in Wyoming, but you were 100% in Fort Bayou with them boys on July 4th. And again, the key is this distress call. If this distress call had never been released, and if that operator had never said what she said in the call, we wouldn't have a leg to stand on. But now look at God's glory. Look at the MDR releasing. But like I said, this wasn't premeditated. Whatever happened, happened, and they panicked. Because when something's premeditated, everybody that's like lying to your mom about where you are. All your friends have to know that you said you were going to the mall with Katie. She cannot call one of your friends and them being like, huh? I don't know. Right? Because then the lies don't start adding up. If you are lying about what happened, everybody, but I don't think the MDMR, the Mississippi Marine Resource Division, and of course the operator at Cito and the captain didn't know what was going on and that they were part of an alibi that's not washing up. Feminine Melanin, thank you again for the super chat. She said, Happy Nolan's parents moved swiftly because had they not, Javon's mom wouldn't have pinged his phone at their house through Snapchat with the other friends. I know that's right. And I'm happy Nolan's mom didn't let that community shame her from running to Ben Crump. As much as they try to shame us for the way our civil rights leaders act, yes, they make a commotion. Yes, they make a spectacle. Yes, they draw everything out because they know what type of bullshit you guys are. And you guys, and not you guys, of course, but everybody knows about Mississippi, right? They know what time those places are on. And they know they have to be loud. They have to make a spectacle. They can't let it go. They have to question everything. And they need to be doubly as smart to stop the cover up. And I'm glad, because again, I say it again, That town in Texas, they shamed Carmelo's parents for not bringing in. Big Crump and them offered to go in. They shamed them for not going in. No, you don't want to bring in. No, don't worry. I know the judge. I know this. This is going to be a general. And they screwed him. That boy is sitting there with 34 years, and hopefully he can get an appeal. But that's not guaranteed because they want to bring the circus and baby. If anything ever happens to me, bring the circus, bring the marching band. It better look like Beyonce in Homecoming. Everybody's scared. Same. I want to see it, make it look like Beyonce at Homecoming at Coachella. I want the biggest spectacle because that's the thing. That spectacle, which it isn't, is nothing more than a light shining on, the all-seeing eye of Horus shining on the cover-up. And they cannot cover up while the whole world is watching. They're doing their best. They're trying to say now the law enforcement feels threatened. They're doing everything they can to take this case underground so nobody, not even the news media, can talk about it. But it's too late. Because Ben Crump is on it. And he was smart. Even if he can't talk about the possible criminal investigation, he can damn sure talk about what's going on in the civil investigation. And that's how he's going to do it, right? But there you go. Also, Sky Miller said, why you need, wait, yeah, exactly. Why did you need Cito if y'all had other boats to pull it? So you send us a video when you're on the phone with Cito as another boat is pulling you while your grandfather is at the same time on the end with the actual captain saying, yeah, don't worry about it. You ain't got to go out there. Exactly. The more information they release, the more, and who I know, Officer Django, I'm telling you, he thought he was going to set them people free. He thought he was going to get the gold star for the coon of the year. And now look, you're the one breaking the case open for us. Thank you, Officer Django. Irma Griffin said, the shorts with Nolan being in a cooler and recent photo of them on the boat without him, the guy wearing the same shorts uses face for face recognition. You know what? Irma, hold on, let me read this again, make sure I understand what you're saying. The shorts with Nolan being in the the shorts with Nolan was by the cooler, right? And the recent photos of them on the boat without him, the guy is wearing the same shorts, uses face. Yeah, exactly. Listen, that's a good point. They do need to use the face for face recognition. Again, everybody on that boat looked kind of the same to me. The only way I can distinguish them is by their shorts and by their hair. And I didn't see any of these guys. Maybe this one guy with the pattern shorts, maybe he was at the helm, but he also had a necklace and a hat. And here, the hair is shorter and it doesn't lob out the thing. So I don't think any of these boys were actually on that boat, right? And so I get your point, but yeah, we do need to start using facial recognition. And shout out to Kaepernick and everybody else. And you know, Nolan's family has a GoFundMe. I've donated. I encourage you guys to donate. This is going to be a long, expensive investigation, but baby, we are going to get it done. Feminine Melanin said, hope they get them all because a RICO can apply. A RICO for the cover up, I 100%. And here's a funny thing. They think they got this mess with the criminal. This is my honest gauge of what's going on, right? They think they got this mess with the criminal. The governors came out and said, we don't see anything wrong. The police chief, we don't see anything wrong. Even Trayvon, we might not get along, but let me tell you, Ocean Springs is always going to have Ocean Springs back. All right, repeating Klan talking points, sure, whatever, right? But here's my point. I think that they think and why they wanted to take it to the grand jury is because the grand jury is from the people. And I'm sure they're going to be really selective with who they send the summons out to and who they do this and who they do that. I 100% do, right? So they're going to be real selective. And I think they think that the grand jury is going to refuse to indict. Case closed. We can get mad. We can hoot and holler. It don't matter. They're going to do what they want to do and they don't give a damn what we think. I think what they're really concerned about right now is the wrongful death suit. Because that wrongful death suit, if it can be moved to federal court, that wrongful death suit, if it can be moved outside of Ocean County, if they can get enough people, that wrongful death suit might bankrupt everybody. I think they got away. They haven't, but I think they got away with the criminal. Now they're trying to make sure that Nolan's mama can't sue them for wrongful death. That's why all these stories are coming out. That's why all these photos are coming out. But I think they're in for a rude awakening because Crump is going for blood. And the more they talk, the better it is for him. Also, Sabine, thank you so much for the super chat. And Constance, well, Constance Marie, you said not Beyonce and Homecoming. Y'all better turn it up. Literally act a fool, turn it up, do what you got, set a Wendy's on fire. I don't care. Whatever you need to do to get Ben Crump's attention, please do it so he can investigate my death. Please, I hope I never, God, I am joking. I don't want anyone investigating my death because I don't want to die. But if something ever happened to me, set a Wendy's on fire. Do what you got to do. Literally, just please make sure that y'all get Ben Crump on the case. That's all I know. That is all I know. But yeah, last thing before I leave you guys really quick. Remember when I said I think TMZ is trying to soft launch? And again, TMZ at this point is just telling us the narratives them boys want us to believe. It has not been verified. They don't even ask questions. They just report that stuff, which lets me know they're paying for it, right? But TMZ is saying, okay. Oh, really quick before we get to TMZ. So Jeanette Brantley, she's the one that cleaned up the audio. Jeanette said, "Thank you to everyone who shared my cleaned audio file. I'll release the rest of the CTO call later tonight." She did this 2 hours ago. "I needed a mental break from it, honestly. But in the meantime, what I can share is all the names I've heard loud and clearly within the call to verify who was actually on the boat. Those that were on the boat were Wyatt, Warren, Will, Bart, Nolan, and 2 unidentified females. The women are the ones who suggested covering it up." And the last thing with TMZ, where they're trying to like now low key push some OD soft launch, an OD thing is, where is this article? 1 second. Here we go. TMZ, based off of nothing, except for the words of the suspects and unnamed people. Nolan Wells' witnesses claim he was drinking heavily before his death. Nolan Wells was drinking while partying at friends in Mississippi's Horn Island before his death. Citing preliminary information in a document from the Mississippi Department of Marine sources, ABC News says witnesses told investigators the 18-year-old was drinking heavily with his buddies on the island on the 4th of July before going missing. The document contains an email. Who gave him the alcohol? Who bought the alcohol? The document contains an email giving a physical description of Nolan as Marine Patrol scoured the waters to try to locate the teen. On July 6, his body was found washed up. The medical examiner's official autopsy results, including toxicology tests, are still pending. It is what it is. Again, this is a shame. TMZ should really be, I mean, it's TMZ, right? You got to know. You got to know your audience. But anyway, you guys, listen, let me get out here. Let me make a few more videos. I'll break it down and do everything. You guys, thank you for rocking with me for 2 hours. I'll break this down into little videos, and there's more information I have. But if I give y'all all the information, we're going to be in here for 4 hours. Not that I would mind, but you guys might have things to do. But I will be posting videos. Put on your notifications. Please, like, if you feel like it, subscribe. And thank you so much for commenting. It really does help me get the message out. And at the end of the day, no matter what, even if you do none of this, talk to your friends and loved ones and anyone that will listen about Nolan. Because on social media and in real life, the more people that are invested in this case, the more people that care, whether you watch a video or whether you're just talking about it at the water cooler, it doesn't matter. But the more we keep eyes on this case and people involved, the less and less chance we have that they can cover it up. Okay, so everybody do what you can. I selfishly want you to subscribe to my channel, but even if you don't, talk about this with everybody you know and don't let it die. And if you see an article about it, a video about it, whatever, give the algorithm the engagement, because when you feed the beast, even if it's reading print articles, they're going to write more stories about it. And even the ABC News, if they know everybody cares about Nolan Wells, they're going to keep following the case. That's how you get justice in 2026. Attention, eyes. So everybody do their part to get as many eyes on this case as they can. All right. Thank y'all for everything. And I will talk to you guys soon. More videos coming.